The Marine Corps acknowledges a maintenance issue that caused a deadly military plane crash should have been detected. 15 Marines and a sailor died when a KC-130 aircraft broke apart and crashed in Mississippi last year. The Marine Forces Reserve investigation found a problem with the plane that should have been fixed years ago. David Martin spoke with the victim's widow. He's at the Pentagon. David, good morning.
Good morning. When this crash happened, it seemed like the airplane just fell out of the sky for no reason. Now we know why, and we also know this accident could and should have been prevented.
It kills me inside because my children could still have their dad. I could still have my husband.
Ashley Kundrat has been waiting 17 months for the briefing she got this week from the Marine Corps about what caused last year's crash of a C-130 that killed her husband, Staff Sergeant William Kundrat, and 15 others.
It's hard to know that he's been gone so many times and deployed all around the world, but then he dies on American soil.
The transport plane, a workhorse of the American military, had simply disappeared from radar during a routine cross-country flight. The plane, call sign Yankee 72, was at 20,000 feet when, without warning, a blade on the left inboard propeller flew off and sliced through the fuselage, a 130-pound object traveling at almost the speed of sound. That caused so much structural stress, the right inboard propeller came off and spun into the fuselage. The cockpit was severed from the plane and plummeted to earth, followed moments later by the fuselage. The doomed aircraft belonged to an air wing commanded by Brigadier General Bradley James.
You know the question every family's going to ask. Did my husband, did my son suffer?
That question, that is the number one question. And my answer has been, I'd like to think that they did not long.
The wreckage was strewn across 5 miles of Mississippi soybean fields. That's the propeller blade which triggered the fatal sequence of events. The investigation found tiny pits of corrosion which over time had become a crack that caused the blade to fail.
When did that corrosion occur?
We tracked this back when it went through rework around 2011.
So a failure to detect corrosion in 2011 causes this fatal crash in 2017?
Yes.
In 2011, the propeller had undergone a scheduled overhaul at this maintenance center at Warner Robins Air Force Base in Georgia. Brigadier General John Kubenick is the current commander.
The procedures that were in place at 2011, those procedures, if properly done, should have detected the corrosion in 2011. Why it wasn't, we don't know.
This could have been prevented. The guys could still be here with us today had they just done their job.
But determining exactly who at the overhaul facility was responsible may be impossible. In 2011, maintenance records were destroyed after only 2 years.
I definitely have more questions, and I'm sure I'll get them answered.
Sergeant Kundrat had been a Marine for 15 years and done 9 overseas tours. Like all the others on board that plane, he never had a chance. Sergeant Kundrat leaves behind his wife and their 2 children.
And I'm going to tell them, you know, Daddy should still be here with us, and I know it'll hurt them, but they're so proud of him, and he's their hero, and he always will be.
As a result of this accident, the Air Force suspended its overhaul of C-130 propeller blades until it could be sure a mistake like this would not happen again. John?
David, we reported on a story this morning of a similar plane and an accident. Is there any relationship between the two?
Well, of course, we don't know yet what caused that accident out in Japan, but it would seem unlikely. This plane that we have just been talking about was on a cross-country flight, flying straight and level with no other aircraft around it in the middle of the day. The plane in Japan was conducting training, aerial refueling training, in which 2 planes are operating in very close proximity to each other in the middle of the night.
All right. Thank you, David.
It's hard not to feel heartbroken and angry when you hear Ashley Kundrat see that this possibly could have been prevented.
Sounds like we can do some more investigative reporting on this in terms of why those maintenance records were destroyed and whether they're not following up correctly on this.